Hey friends, welcome to Flite Test. I'm Josh. Today's a really special day because we're going to be taking you through our very first receiver-ready airplane. This is a DHC 2 Beaver, and as you can see, it's a micro here. From the very beginning here, we got to test fly early prototypes, and from that point, really make it our own. One thing that I really loved is that we wanted this plane to be something that you could picture if you went to Alaska, that you would see either floating on pontoons or flying out of a backcountry bush. One thing vision-wise that we really thought was important for this airplane was typically when you go too small on the micro side, you sacrifice durability and you also sacrifice flight time. We wanted to make this plane just big enough where if you're in the backyard, you could have a really good experience and also longer flight times. We wanted to make sure we sized the plane similar to what we did with our Mighty Minis, and we actually did that. It's 640 millimeter wingspan. The cool thing about that is you have nice durability with the fuselage, with the wings, and the added struts for scale detail are truly functional. They actually screw into the wings, and the durability from the struts has been amazing. I've cartwheeled this plane, I've pushed the limits too many times here, especially on the early ones, and one thing I noticed is that our Mighty Mini series kind of really took the hit really well. This does as well too. We even wanted to make sure, one thing we noticed on micros is oftentimes you had to kind of cut your way in. If you had to change out a motor or do a repair, you'd oftentimes have to kind of splice the fuselage open or expose it. With this, everything is magnetic, so you can really open up the whole airplane. So if you want to do a modification, if you want to fix something, replace something, our hope is that you guys will take this kind of an airplane and really add some cool modifications like nav lights or even FPV on the top, similar to what we do with our FT commuter. So what you're going to get if you get this kit here is you're going to get a receiver-ready airplane, which means you need to provide your receiver and also your battery. If you don't have a charger or transmitter, you're going to want to make sure you have those as well too. In the box, you're going to find a 640 millimeter wingspan DHC 2 Beaver. The motor is a 2630 kV motor. The battery range is going to be a 2-cell 350 milliamp all the way up in the front nose, or you can go ahead and go all the way up to a 550 milliamp, which I personally like for wind penetration. Now with that battery, you can expect to have 8 to 12 minutes of flight time unless you're really going crazy with aerobatics. So versatility was really important to us. So what we did here is we have two different landing gear options. We have our conventional tail dragger gear, which you'll oftentimes see, the plane flying with if you're flying off of hard surfaces, or if you like flying off of a lake, snow, or even AstroTurf, we include pontoons so you could do that. The DHC 2 Beaver has a steerable tail wheel. If you're going to be flying off of pontoons, you can simply remove that tail wheel and put on a steerable water rudder. One thing that's not included in the kits, but you can add as an option, is actually our flaps. The flaps are really useful. If you want to kick about 15 degrees in it, it'll slow the plane down beautifully. The plane already flies pretty slow, so I tell people not to go too much farther than that, but it is a really cool effect, and especially on landings, it's really nice to have one notch of flaps. So for flight characteristics, this is where this plane really shines. It doesn't fly like a typical micro, and there's no stabilization at all in it. So for takeoffs, what you're going to want to do on a hard surface runway is put it definitely into the wind. Anytime you have a small plane, make sure you're pointing into the wind. Making sure that you're on your rudders, give gradual throttles. I oftentimes count 1 in Mississippi, 2 in Mississippi, 3. By the time you're just about at full throttle, you're going to see the plane's going to naturally want to take off on itself. Typically what a lot of people do is they pull out and immediately go for a climb, let it build the airspeed, and then give it a gradual climb. Setting up your rates on this plane is also really important. I recommend flying from low rates, which is about 12 to 14 degrees of deflection. What this is going to give you is plenty of control authority to do loops and rolls and all the maneuvers, but it's not going to over control the airplane, causing things like high speed stalls or tip stalls. This plane's going to cruise happily around half throttle. You're going to notice that full throttle almost gives you vertical, just about maybe a 60-degree angle of climb, which is plenty. In moderate winds, 7 mile an hour or below, you're going to have a great experience. Although this plane wasn't originally designed for aerobatics, this is incredibly capable. The large rudder, wing, and tail surfaces give it really great control to fly inverted, knife edge, loops, rolls. Anything that you can kind of dream of doing, it'll do that. The only thing it doesn't really do is 3D aerobatics. So friends, I want to thank you for watching. Thank you so much for making this chapter of Flite Test possible. This is our very first receiver-ready aircraft, and it's really special to us, but it's also just the very beginning. One thing we're going to be doing with every airplane we design, whether it's DIY or whether it's receiver-ready, we're going to be learning. We're going to also be looking for your feedback on what you liked, didn't like, and what also you'd like to see more of. If you're watching this right now, it's not only available at our store link down below, but also check out your local hobby shops. One thing we really believe in doing is supporting our local hobby shops, and we're going to be doing our best to not only get our DIY line in there, but also great products like what you see here. Happy flying, we'll see you next time.